Let me tell you about the police canine community. Police canine handlers are driven by a couple of things. One, most of them, the vast majority of them, are not dog people. The dog people that get into this, they come in, their dog is a work product, it's a piece of art, they would sign their name on it and parade it in front of everybody to see because the dog people do that. Some of those dog people become really good canine handlers, catch lots of bad guys. But generally speaking, they are not the most productive at catching bad guys. Who are? It's the hunters. The ones who don't care what tool it is. They are tired of losing foot chases. They are tired of, because it's not fair. You got 30 extra pounds of gear on. And, you're running after some youngster who's 20 years your junior. You know what? You're not going to catch them all. And so they run, they hide, and you can't see them. And they're quiet, you can't hear them. And then somebody says, you know what? They can hide and they can't be seen. They can be quiet and they can't be heard. But they can't stop stinking. And lo and behold, you get a dog, and the dog can do that for you. So that's why those guys, those handlers, get police dogs. Energy level is the first thing we look at. Why energy level? Because as far as I'm concerned, there's no more reliable predictor of what's going to get you in trouble with a dog. What gets you in over your head. We'll talk more about each of these separate ones, but these are the 7 steps for reading a dog. Now, if you take a look at your sheet there, wait a minute. Let me make sure that you got the right sheet. Did I give you? You know what? You got the wrong sheet. Never mind. Use those sheets when you do nose work. Never mind. I just had the Marin Humane Society spend money they didn't have to making copies of things they didn't have to. All right. Never mind. Don't worry about it. You can use it later on. We can talk about that. Energy level. Body axis, stride, muscle tone, neck, head, and tail. The tail, we've all been in this business long enough to know that when somebody looks at this gig and they look at a dog, a new person coming in, what's the first thing they look at? Tail. But what's the last thing on the list? And we know, we all have an idea why. But it's not really cemented in concrete as to why that tail is significant. And so because of that, because it has so many mixed signals that it can send, Steve puts it at the end. Now, intensity is a matter of how big it is or how loud it is. And by loudness, I'm not just talking about sound, but like how loud is it visually? How much does it stand out? And you can control that. Movement gives things intensity too. When they move. In other words, you ever seen a dog walking along and there's a rabbit up in front of it? And the rabbit is just lying in the grass. And the dog kind of sees it. But it's just like, well, I'm just going to kind of watch as I walk by. It never knows what might happen. Then the bunny hops away. What happens? Toenails scraping in the dirt as the dog is trying to get to it. Why? Movement made it more intense. It stimulated something. All right? And the angle at which it moved. You know what? How many dogs would like all of a sudden if the bunny just came running right at it? With sharp, pointy teeth. Another Monty Python reference. Come on, folks. So the dog, they'd handle it probably, but there would be this initial thing of, whoa, dude, that's not how this game is played. Little Rabbi Foo-Foo, go hop through the forest, I'll come after you. And again, this is one of the ways you can control intensity is through contrast, how much it jumps out for the background. Now, another great thin slicer are the Gottmans at the Gottman Institute, and they're up in our area outside of Seattle. They are relationship experts, and what they found is that through videotape interviews, they use something called the SPATH code to measure the interactions between couples as they have an interview and also do a joint task, a shared task. And they measure the language that they use and the behavioral cues. And what they found that with 1 hour tape, they can make a 95% accurate prediction about whether that couple will stay together or not. 1 hour. Ooh. Anybody feel vulnerable right now? And basically, it all has to do with how much mutual support they give each other, how much criticism is flowing back and forth, how much acceptance and condemnation. And they know that once they hit these certain ratios, the relationship has a high likelihood of failure. And their ability to predict is stunning. But if you told a behavioral therapist a long time ago that you had an objective way to measure whether a couple would be together in 5 years based on a 1 hour snippet of time, they would have said, no way. Some really good, skilled therapists would probably, at their gut level, be able to make the same assessments. Even though they would never come out and say it, because they knew that it wouldn't be replicable. All he did was take what they knew and made it replicable. He systematized their way of thin slicing. It's brilliant. So I want to talk about a tale of two trainers. One is into meticulous shaping plans with levels and sublevels in multiple shaping plants, shaping sets to support another shaping set. I mean, it's just very meticulous, very, very meticulous. And you know how you spell meticulous? A-N-A-L-R, okay. Very formulaic. He's the incrementalist. This is the incrementalist. Criteria shift is 80%. When I'm at 80% reliability, we start asking for more. 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, 20. That's it. Then there's the pattern recognizer. The pattern recognizer has this ability just to scan the horizon, see the big picture, and all of a sudden see what fits and what doesn't, and know what to do next. Man, everything is done fast, on the fly, amazingly quick results. The question is how can the two work together? How can they coexist? Are they antithetical?